Hello, welcome to the conversation here on New Central Television. This is the program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Benga Aboloa.
And I am Rita Omode. It's a lovely week, and right here on the conversation, we will focus with reactions to the decision by the Nigerian government to redesign some denominations of the Naira. Now, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, says the Central Bank of Nigeria has his approval to carry on with the move, but the ultimate question remains the socio-economic impact. In terms of security, Islamic cleric Ahmad Gumi says the move is ill-timed and will push kidnappers to start demanding foreign currency as ransom.
Also, we'll be looking at the growing diplomatic tensions between the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Rwanda over allegations that Kigali supports the M23 rebels, which had now led to the expulsion of Rwanda's ambassador to the Democratic Republic of Congo in retaliation. Rita, quite a lot happening in politics over the weekend in Somalia, in Tunisia, DRC, and also Nigeria as we inch towards the general elections next year.
Definitely. And you know, we've had these issues going on with DRC and Rwanda. We've had diplomatic talks, but so far I'm not sure it's having any headway, so to say, with the expulsion of the ambassador. We would have expected a lot more with the African Union, even joining talks to make sure that there's peace.
They've been talking, so it means all those talks, where did they lead to? I guess once we get on that topic, our analysts will shed more light on it.
Definitely, but right now, let's begin with redesigning of the Nigerian Naira notes backed by President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria says the new Naira notes will be issued beginning from 15th December 2022, while all the existing currencies will cease with legal tender from January 2023. Now, the Apex Bank says the exercise has become necessary due to the many factors, including increasing ease and risk of counterfeiting and a worsening shortage of clean and fit banknotes.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, had earlier said she and other Federal Executive Council members were not consulted by the CBN governor before the decision was announced. But President Buhari said he gave his approval, explaining that those who have huge cash legally would have challenges exchanging them for the new notes. The president added that he's convinced the decision is in national interest. The banknotes to be redesigned, produced and circulated 100 Naira, 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira denominations. Join us on the conversation this evening to discuss all of this. We have Dr. Muhammadu Yusuf, who's the CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. We also have Victor Anilaju, founder and CEO, EPE, and also Oladoto Mabinori, Director of Public Relations National Youth Campaign Council of PDP Youth Generation. A warm welcome to you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us on the conversation. I'd like to start with Dr. Muhammadu Yusuf. What do you make of this decision and the back and forth between the minister and the president saying they weren't consulted and the CBN? Was this a well thought out decision, and will it be beneficial to the Nigerian economy? Because over the weekend, we saw that the parallel market, the dollar is now selling for about 800 Naira, which a lot of analysts have attributed to this decision to, introduce new currencies.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Personally, I don't think this initiative or this decision has any significant economic value. If there is anything that the citizens expect from the CBN at this time, is about how to deal with the major macroeconomic headwinds that this economy is facing. Only recently, I think just within the last 1 week, Moody's downgraded Nigeria from B2 to B3. Nigeria has now been classified as a high credit risk country. That has significant implications for capital flows into this economy. And we can't run this economy alone. We need investors in this economy. We are witnesses to the volatility in the foreign exchange market. We are witnesses to the profound liquidity crisis in the foreign exchange market, the transparency problems in in the foreign exchange market, the round tripping between the official window and the parallel market window, which is getting worse by the day. So if you have all of this, of course, you have fiscal crisis, serious debt crisis, revenue crisis, and all of that. Even in the midst of all of this, the CBN is now pushing forward this kind of issue without addressing even the serious inflationary pressures that we have. I think from the point of view of policy priority and intervention priority, this is not a priority for this economy. Secondly, in terms of the reasons that were given, in your intro, you talked about the fact that there is scarcity of brand new banknotes and all of that. Have you gone around the event centers over the weekends? Don't you see people hawking brand new currency notes? If you go to the bank, you don't get these notes. And yet these things are being hawked at parties. People are spraying it. Where is this coming from? Is it not from the banks? Has there been any sanction of any bank manager or those in that ecosystem? That is one. Secondly, the CBN talked about impact on monetary policy and inflation. Now, I think there is a need to distinguish between money or money supply and currency in circulation. Currency in circulation is just only about 6% of total money supply in the economy. Total money supply today as of September was 49 trillion naira. Total currency outside the banking system, according to CBN, is 2.7 trillion naira. How is that a major problem for the economy or for monetary policy? So if you go and mop up that, what impact will that have on monetary policy? It is immaterial.
Okay, Dr. Muda, while you're looking at, sorry to butt in there, you're talking about the inflationary levels in the economy and the priority that the central bank is giving this redesign of the notes. But let's go to the nitty-gritty right now. What exactly are the cost implications of redesigning this banknotes, and how much will it affect the nation's resources?
Well, the cost implication, the CBN has not disclosed that, but it's going to cost us significantly, financially, in financial terms. Secondly, the logistics of having to distribute this currency across the country is going to cause a whole lot of disruptions to this economy. It's going to cause a whole lot of disruption to the distributive trade sector. The distributive trade sector accounts for about 16% of our GDP. Next to agriculture, it is the highest employer of labor. So this is going to disrupt a lot because you are talking of a very vast country. People have to move, and there are some local governments in this country that don't have more than two bank branches. So all these innocent informal sector people, innocent rural dwellers, they have to be traveling several kilometers for them to be able to change their currency. And some of them may lose their money or completely in the process, especially given the time frame that has been given. And now we are moving to an election period. This, if you are not careful, this thing can affect the elections. So these are some of the things which I think we need to take account of. But when you relate all of this to the benefits that this will give, the cost is disproportionately higher than the benefits. Because I can't see any, okay, they talked about people who are, money laundering, vote buying, and people who have kept money. Well, we have to look at more strategic ways of doing that, rather than disrupting the whole economy. We are talking of money laundering, or even the amount that is in the bank, apart from the cash that we are talking about. What is the evidence that you don't have money laundering component in that?
Now,
You have money laundering properties.
Dr. Yusuf, this is not the first.
For instance.
Yes, this is not the first time that the currency has been, the Naira has been redesigned. How did it happen in the past that there wasn't much of a disruption? And if the time frame given is extended, would you would you be less critical of this policy?
Well, if you have a longer time frame, maybe 3 to 6 months or so, where the two currencies, the old and the new, can exist side by side, we can have a much better transition from the old to the new. I think that will help, so that gradually these things are phased out. As currencies go in, they get that. So if you have a longer time frame, that may help. Then you have to look at the timing. You don't throw this kind of thing in at a time when you are preparing for an election in February. You could disrupt it, because you have given a space of maybe 1.5 months, and you know what it is in Nigeria when it comes to transitioning from one process to the other. You know what happened with the NIN. You know what happened to PVC. You know what happened to passport and all of that. So we may not conclude this process within this time frame. And if you are not careful, it will spill into the election period. And it may cause a lot of distraction. I'm talking about whether the minister was informed or not. For a major policy like this, the president has set up a presidential council on the economy. This kind of thing ought to have been discussed at that level. That's a presidential committee on the economy. So the critical decision makers will have been involved. People will bring in their views, so that we have a system that is more inclusive. This is without prejudice to the autonomy of the CBN. Even with the autonomy does not preclude building an inclusive policy process, so that you can harness the perspectives of different people.
All right, Dr. Yusuf, now other areas, they talked about the issue of counterfeit notes so much in circulation and the ease of counterfeiting in Naira notes. I mean, don't you see this as probably a way to address the issue of the counterfeit notes?
Perhaps it is, yes. It is a way to address it. But the point I'm making here is that you don't, in the process of solving a particular problem, create even much bigger problems. Look at what has happened to the exchange rate. It is the ordinary Nigerians that will suffer from that. And you are talking of exchange rate crossing over 800, just on account of this announcement. You know the effect of exchange rate on inflation. You know the effect on inflation on poverty, on cost of living. Already the citizens are crying in pain because of the massive erosion of purchasing power. People cannot meet even basic needs. So we need to be sensitive to all of this. I'm not saying that there are no benefits at all, but you don't solve a problem and create bigger problems for people. That is the point.
Okay.
Of course, you can pick a few counterfeit notes here and there. You could get some illicit people who have stacked money. They may not be able to bring it out. Of course, those are benefits. But we should do things in a way that will minimize the pain, the disruptions in the economy. We are already cashless. People talk about cashless. Cash as a percentage of money supply in this economy is just about 6%. Even in advanced economy, it's almost up to 10%. Cash as a percentage of our GDP is less than 2%. So the cash we have is not that much compared to the size of this economy, compared to the size of the money supply. So it's not a big deal. So those are my points.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Muhammadu Yusuf. It's been a pleasure having you join us. We look forward to talking to you some other time.
Thank you.
You're still here on The Conversation in News Central Television. We're discussing the Nigeria's president back in the redesign of Naira. So we'd like to bring in our second guest, Victor Ani Laju, founder and CEO ePay, to continue this conversation. Hello, Victor. What's your take on all of this discussion we're having? Are you for the redesign, or you're indifferent, or you're against it? And what are your reasons?
Okay, thank you so much, News Central, for having me again. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing. The decision to redesign the Naira, uh, it's not that I'm against it, but it doesn't have any economical value at this time of our nation. It will only worsen the economical situation. And the reasons they are giving for redesigning and printing more money. For me, I see it as the government trying to print more money, right? It's not reasonable enough. It doesn't have, it will not solve the problem. That's what I mean. I'm not saying printing of new Naira notes, it's a bad idea. I'm saying the problem, the challenges we are facing as a nation, printing new notes will not solve the problem. And number two, as we are right now as a nation, we just need common sense. You know, due to my training as an economist, we're told that when you face a complex situation, you apply common solution. You don't need to apply common strategy. The common sense will tell you that Nigerians don't like spending new notes. So if you print that new note now, we have a lot of us keeping it in our house. And that's just the common sense. The common sense is that if I know a bank today that is paying new notes or an ATM that is dispensing new notes, I will go there, withdraw my new notes, and keep it in my house. And if CBN is saying one of the reasons is because there's no enough money in the bank, Nigeria are hard. Printing new notes will not solve the problem. If you want Nigerians to take their money back to the bank, give a higher interest rate. You cannot be charging us so much on our money. You are deducting our money, and you are asking us to come up with more money in the bank. You look at why is Nigerians not keeping money in the bank as of today. Now, let me draw your attention to something. Two basic things that printing of this new note will cost to us, and which is already happening. Today, if you want to buy a new currency, new Naira, they sell 20,000 Naira for 27,000 Naira. If you go to all these weddings and the rest, that's how
So why do people even need to buy new notes in the first place? The value of an old 1,000 Naira note and the market value of a new one is the same. So
yes, it's the occasion. And this period, that's where you have weddings. This is where you have events. Nigerians like to spend money. You will not say that as it's not. You know that very well. So we buy it with 7,000 Naira as against 20,000. Now you are not telling us that you want to print more new money. See what will happen. People will start doing business with it. People will carry those new currencies now and tell you, you don't need to go to a bank. You have 100,000, you want to go and change in the bank. Give me the 100, give me 110,000. I will give you 100,000 new notes. It become a business.
Okay, Victor, I'd like to cut you a bit there because I would like to bring Dotso into all of this right now. And, you know, a lot of people are still looking at the fact that elections are barely 5 months away. I mean, the last time the Naira was redesigned was about almost 20 years ago that it was redesigned. So do you see any political undertone to this redesigning of the Naira notes? Or are you saying that really Nigeria needs to redesign the notes?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon, Nigerians, and thank you for having me. There are various reasons for changing money, and we all know that even advanced countries within 5 to 8 years, we change their currencies. But there should be reasons for doing that. The reason that our CBN has given, for me, there are two elementary to embark on this type of daunting task at this moment. Election is coming, and doing this right now, for me, is more political than even economic. But if you look at it economically, it defies every economic sense, because we can't be, just as the Dr. Muda Yusuf said the other time, you see it has defied virtually all economic postulations. But if you look at it politically, for me, I've been expecting this to happen before the end of this administration, but maybe like 7 years ago it should have happened, because it has been proven that our incumbent president, who was the then general in 1983 to 85, has seen this as a way of fighting corruption. We all know what happened in April 1984, where General Tunde Diagba announced that time for a change of currency, and it then was actually targeted towards politicians to bring out the fund with them or get them arrested or what have you. So we are seeing that happening again now. So it's more political than being economical or what have you. And again, if you also look at it in terms of insecurity, we have actually told, just as what Mr. Alaji Gumi said yesterday, fine, some people might query him, some might, critics might abuse him, what have you. They actually said the truth. They have actually told the terrorists that they should start collecting dollars and not collecting Naira. So if you are using that to tackle insecurity, you have actually, the purpose has actually been defeated from the word go. So if you have so that's what every reason given by CBN for embarking on this have actually been defeated. If you are looking at it in terms of fighting insurgency, the military, the fight of insurgency is there. The military are there to fight that. Now, if you look at NDLA in the last few months, have been recording massive success in terms of tackling illicit drugs and what have you. Did they close all pharmaceutical products in Nigeria because they want to fight illicit drugs? So now asking us to change our currency because we want to fight security, for me, it is a slap on the face of our security, of our military and other security agencies. Now, saying that we want to use this for political reasons is also meaningless, because election is coming. We have announced this will take effect by middle of December, when we are already in the festive period. So I've given people 6 weeks to do whatever they want to do, convert their currencies, clean their bad money and what have you. Number one, the notice for me is too long. It's something I will have maybe when we made the announcement last week, last week, by Monday following week, this thing will take effect, just as Tunde Diagba gave that time, that gave just 24 hours. But this time around, we are giving people 6 weeks, and we have seen the effect on our foreign exchange. It's already depleting. As at this morning, we have already hit the record low of 800 Naira. So that's to tell you that if this continues, before the effective, the policy will become effective, which is December 15th, our Naira might be 1,000 Naira to $1. So this exchange rate works on sentiment, works on information. So CBN should be very much careful giving this kind of information at this day time that our Naira is on a free fall. So to what effect do we have this on our inflation? Now, if Naira keeps falling, for instance, I will now have exchange rate to 1,000 Naira to $1. Before you know it, we have some companies that import their raw materials into the economy. So when the cost of raw materials increases, they will transfer this increase in cost of raw materials to the final consumer. This is what we call a pass-through effect. They will pass the effect of that increase in exchange rate to the final consumer. Inflation will also come in. We already have inflation at 20.77. My own little understanding of economics is that CBN should be ready, to be serious about how to combat inflation, not adding to it. Where there will be spiral effect of what CBN has just done, there will be proper effect of it again, and the domino effect will be, almost all over. We have some villages that we speak at, and some local government that don't have that don't have any single branch of any bank. So how do you now expect them to start coming to town to start changing their money? They're saying POS money agents can do that. There's some money agents that don't have more than 100,000 with them on a daily basis, but they're being careful also. They don't have any security officers, they don't have any police following them around, so they carry little amount of money moving around. Imagine one money agent in the entire village, and the entire village having about 50 million for them to change, because in real sense, money is not to be kept in the bank. If you check 3 motives for holding money: transactionary motive, speculative motive, and precautionary motive. The transactionary motive of money takes the large chunk, and this can be interpreted from our GDP. If you check the GDP component, there are 4 components of GDP: consumption, investment, government expenditure, then international trade. Consumption takes 73% of our GDP. And if an individual also sit down, check your income on a monthly basis, check the amount to spend on consumption, both immediate consumption and durable consumption, you will realize that not less than 73% of your income will be on consumption. So if that is the case, why then do I need to keep money in the bank when I need this money for transactionary motive? The speculative and the precautionary motive for holding money, they are very minimal in every individual's income. Only the super rich and what have you keep such money. So look at average Nigerians, who forms the majority, about 150 million Nigerians fall in average class. So if average majority, if average, which 150 million, are in this instance having 70% of their income spent on consumption. So there's no need keeping the money in the bank. So that's to tell you that the transactional. So when people keep money physically in their at home or in the banks, I mean in their cars or what have you, it's not for illegal purposes. Not everybody. For instance, I want to buy something in my street. Do I need to get to the bank, use the ATM to get that? And again, there's no incentive for keeping money in the bank. We'll keep money in the bank before you know it. On a daily basis, on a weekly basis, they send you SMS alert, bank ATM card maintenance alert, this one alert. This you want to keep depleting. Some of them won't practice what they call salami technique by taking this amount of money over there. So there's no incentive to keep money in the bank. Now you are forcing everybody to go into the bank. If all of us are to go to the bank,
thank you very much, Doctor. I'd like Victor to have the last say here because we're fast running out of time. Now, Victor, we've seen in the last 48 hours the Naira just hit a record low. The law of gravity says everything that goes up must come down. Do you see the Naira falling, and what will it take to arrest this free fall of the Naira? If you can in less than a minute, I'd appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah. The truth about it is that if we want the Naira to have more value, we have to be more productive. We have to move from being a consumption nation to a producing nation. That's one. But for the immediate effect, we need to make sure that every single crude oil that's been sold, the money is brought back into Nigeria economy. That's the way we can get in more forex. And when we have more forex, the value of our Naira will definitely appreciate. So what we are seeing right now is telling us that Nigeria is spending more in dollars than Naira. So as far as we demand for more dollar, our Naira will definitely go down. And that is not a result of anything. That is a result of belief system. A lot of Nigerians are feeling that Nigeria is failing. So we are beginning to source for help outside the country. So a lot of Nigerians are demanding for dollar to get BTA, to travel outside the country, to pay school fees outside the country, pay health care outside the country, to import things outside the country. Vertically, everything we pay now, we are buying it from outside the country. So if we want our dollar to Naira to have more value, we need to look inward. And lastly, I want to say this. Our government need to support the small and the medium scale enterprise. We need to invest more in that angle to make Nigeria to become very productive. The government is just, their policies are killing our small industries. And because we are no more depending on our small scale industry, we are looking up to the foreigners, the Chinese, the Indians, the Americans, to do virtually everything that we need to do. We will need to depend more there. And I think that going forward, Nigerians need to apply common sense, especially those leading us. We don't need complex policy. Just think like a Nigerian and apply policy in that direction. Don't give us complex policy that will make us start becoming scared. Because right now, Nigerians are becoming scared.
All right, Victor, I think you've made your point quite clear, Victor. I mean, you're looking at how ways to bring back the value of the Naira. And I'm going to throw that question back to Dotun, because you talked about so many reasons why this, at the moment, should not be a priority for the Central Bank of Nigeria, looking at how the Naira is seriously crashing. So what are the ways that we can arrest the situation and bring back the value of the Naira?
Yeah, it's actually simple demand economics principle, demand and supply, cost of demand and supply. We all know that anytime demand exceeds supply, the price of goods and services will go up. And when the reverse take the place, the order of the day, the prices will come down. So what CBN should be more concerned about now is how we earn more foreign exchange, how we stop paying subsidies so that our dollars, we are earning dollar on sale of crude oil, it remains in Nigeria economy, not that we are using to pay subsidy again and supposed to take it outside the country. So what CBN should be more concerned about right now is how to ensure that we have more, how we have increase in our supply of dollar and less in demand of dollar. And how do we go about the demand? As he said the other time, is by reducing our dependence on foreign goods. That was by embarking on what we call import substitution. So those finished goods that we're importing, that we're using our hard currency to import, how do we improve them? How do we produce them locally here so that we stop consuming them? I mean, using our foreign exchange to buy them instead of traveling abroad. how do we build those hospitals that we are going abroad to go and receive medical service? How do we build them here so that we start putting the pressure on foreign currency will reduce? Because what CBN has done, in essence, is actually to put more pressure on dollar, on demand for dollar, and by doing that, the price of dollar will keep going up, which means our Naira will continue depreciating. So I was expecting CBN, or I'm expecting CBN to concentrate more on this, on how to increase supply of inflow of dollar into Nigeria, not creating pressure on what we have in existence. And if this is a way of fighting corruption, for me, is a lost cause.
It's a fine place to end this conversation. It's been quite a robust one. I'd like to say thank you to you, Oladoto Mabinori, Victor Anilaju, and of course, Dr. Muda Yusuf, for sharing your time and insights on this subject. We do appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, News Center. Thank you. More time.
Okay. You're watching The Conversation on News Central Television. It's time for us to go on a break. And when we return, the Democratic Republic of Congo over the weekend expelled the ambassador of the Republic of Rwanda to the DRC. What was the reason for this? We'll tell you more on this when we return from this break. Do stay with us. The conversation continues shortly.